Vikings versus Eagles.
Gjallarhorn. We have Drew, Ted, and Dave back once again this week to preview the Philadelphia Eagles coming to US Bank Stadium in a contest against our beloved Minnesota Vikings. It should be a good one. How you doing, Drew?
Beautiful, man. Beautiful. I'm watching this baseball game, and it's 13-1, and I'm thinking, at what point in the game does the one manager just look over to the other dugout and kind of give the guy the wave and call it a day? And the other manager says, "Hey, Bill, you want to just want to come over later for barbecue? Yeah, fuck this game. You know, when do they? Come on,
Ted. What ball game is that?
It's Game 5 of the. Let Ted tell you. It's his team.
It'd be the National League Division Series, St. Louis Cardinals against the Atlanta Braves. And when it went to 11-0, I started playing the night they drove Old Dixie down loop on my iPod.
What an ass whooping this is.
Hey,
Cool.
I'll tell you, it's been a great sports day for me because not only are the Cardinals whipping, but on base today, I work out at the base here. The Stanley Cup came to the base, and they set it up in the building right next to where I work at the dining facility. Dave, you remember where that is?
I remember.
And so it's my building, and then the dining facility, and then the building right after that is where my youngest grandson Josh, his daycare is. So I went and picked up my grandson Josh, and we got our picture taken with the Stanley Cup today. It's pretty cool.
That'll be a classic photo in the Glover household till forever.
Yeah, he's going to make his brother and his cousin jealous, but, I mean, they were in school, so what can you do?
I saw that photo, man. He couldn't get any happier. He had such a happy look on his face. That was awesome.
The lady took, a series of 3 pictures, and it's kind of – I thought about putting all 3 of them. The first one is, he's got his face like that, and then he's kind of looking at the cup like, what's this? And then he's like, like that. It was great. It's pretty cool.
Excellent, dude. Right on.
So it's a good day for St. Louis sports.
Well, how are you doing?
Me?
Yeah.
If I was any better, I'd be against the law. Let's light the candle.
All right. On that note, Philly's coming into town. Can we please get 2 wins in a row? Please. Can we win 2 games in a row?
I hope so.
I hope so.
This will be an interesting battle because all our home games so far have been against scrubs. This will be our first test.
Well, and doing some research today, they're about equal to us, maybe a tad bit better in the rankings. But Vegas has us 3 points favorites, and that's got to be because of the advantage we have playing at US Bank Stadium. And our fans are fantastic. They get loud and they get in the head of quarterbacks. And they must do that this Sunday if we want a chance to win.
Well, the Eagles have a pretty good track record at US Bank Stadium, as I recall, against the Saints in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, but that wasn't Minnesota Vikings fans cheering. So cheering Minnesota Vikings.
Nobody wants to think about it.
What do they say? Vegas gives 3 points
to the home team.
The home game is worth 3 points.
That would make them even.
So Vegas thinks they're very
between 2 and 3 points. Your home field, depending. Yeah.
Now, one thing I did notice, their defensive front 7 against the run is absolutely brutal.
Yep.
So far this season.
It's only averaging 63 yards a game so far. They haven't played any, you wouldn't consider top-tier teams, but Number
Well,
one
they
against the
played
run
Green
is
Bay.
number one against the run. So, which presents another thing, guys. If number one against the run, we're all of a sudden we're going back to Soldier Field, Mr. Glover, about shutting our run down. How do we win the game? Because we didn't have a plan in Soldier Field. And like Roy Scheider says, I don't plan on going through this again.
Because I don't intend to go through that hell again.
Yeah, they're going to get eat up and spit out by a shark too if they don't figure it out. That was a Jaws reference, right, Roy Scheider?
Yes, very good.
Thank you.
Saved me. I don't think I got the quote right, but you know where I was coming from. You got it.
Yeah. No, you're right. It was, the key to teams beating Minnesota when they've lost is put the ball in the hands of Kirk Cousins. Make him. And in the two losses, he hasn't. Even that loss against Green Bay, Dalvin Cook still ran for 150 yards, but they were down so much so early that they still had to pass more than they probably wanted to get that run pass split early. It's really imperative that the Vikings have a plan in case Dalvin Cook is shut down. And this is nothing disrespectful to Dalvin Cook. He's one of the best running backs in the NFL. But if teams really want to, if teams really want to, they can take away what you're good at. I mean, Bill Belichick's famous for that. But if they take away what you're good at, you have to be able to counter. And so far, Vikings haven't been able to. If they can, man, I think they're going to be a pretty good football team because we saw what Kirk Cousins can do when he's comfortable and he's throwing the ball and he's kind of in a rhythm like we we saw against the Giants. So if he can do that, if he can keep that level or comfort level, whatever the word is, guys, the Vikings have a chance to be pretty good. But again, Kirk Cousins, which one is going to show up? Which one is going to show up, Dave?
Well, did you see his podcast this week that he said he was pissed off going into last week's game, and he was in that you like that mode, and that he plays better pissed off? Did you see what Coach Zimmer responded today with?
I don't listen to what Coach Zimmer has to say anymore.
Zim said if that's the case, I'm going to piss him off right before a game. That'll be easy.
Clock management? How's he going to piss him off?
He'll probably tell him, he's if he doesn't do well, he's going to put Mannion in. I don't know. He'll do something to piss him off.
Choice. If they shut the run down, the only other choice you have is to try to win the ball game through the air. I mean,
now, that's the Eagles' Achilles heel, is that they've given up quite a bit in the air.
They're 27th in pass defense.
Yep.
And they're number one against the run. So it doesn't take a genius to figure out how you're supposed to attack these guys.
Right. As long as the offensive line can give Cousins enough time to make at least, one or two quick reads and then dump it over the top of that 7, we should be golden. And then on the offensive side, as long as the crowd is going absolutely nuts, our defense should be able to do their work, I would think.
Yeah, one of the strange numbers that I looked at, I've been noticing since I've been crunching numbers, the Eagles' offense is 24th in the league, which is, bottom end, but they're 7th in scoring and averaging 28 points a game. Usually that doesn't go together. Usually if you're 24th in overall offense, you're pretty low in scoring too, but they're managing to get almost 30 points a game. Maybe that's the teams they're playing. I mean, they played the Skins, the Jets. I mean, they played some scrub teams. They beat that team from Wisconsin on the primetime game that we watched, but the Vikings defense is really, we moved up another 2 spots, Ted. We're up to 4th now. So we're only giving up 14 points a game. So the defense.
That's good.
Yeah, we're all giving up 14 points a game.
And for those that you don't know what we call the Mendoza line is 17 points. If the defense holds the opposing team to 17 points or less, the Vikings win 99% of the time.
We've hit it 4 times. The 1% happened to be the Bears
game. That was it.
But yeah, there's some good numbers. The Eagles, A big number for me this Sunday is going to be the third down play. The Eagles are number one in the NFL in third down offense, 52%, number one. And we have the number 9 ranked defense in getting teams off the field on third down. So third down, Ted Glover, is where you're going to crunch. It ain't going to be no Yadier Molina. It's going to be crunch time, baby.
No bat flinging in the bottom of the 10th after driving in the win and run.
That was beautiful.
Wrong
too.
sport. Anyway,
the thing that bothers me or worries me is what kind of team the Eagles have. Drew, you mentioned they won in Lambeau, and that was a really good win. But they also lost their 2 losses. They lost at home to Detroit, and I think Detroit's actually going to be a pretty good team. So I think at the end of the year, that's not going to be a bad loss. But what is going to be a bad loss is they lost that either Sunday night or Monday night game to the Falcons, and the Falcons just look like a terrible football team right now. So I don't,
like the Vikings, they don't show up a lot, the Eagles.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of maybe seems that way, and I don't know. And this is weird. This is kind of a Ted thing, and I'm probably way off on this, but I think Carson Wentz is the better quarterback, but I think the Eagles were a better team with Nick Foles.
Can't argue with that.
Does that make sense to you guys?
They just seem to play a lot more in the flow. They played a lot more confident when Foles was in there. It was very weird, very strange. I agree with you.
Well, we've had that. We know how that works. And history with Case and Teddy
to an extent. But I mean, they had it. They came back the next year too, and Wentz got injured again, and then Fultz.
He was injured for last year's game against the Vikings.
Yeah.
And we beat them.
They beat the Bears in Chicago in the playoffs last year. So
we won last year.
Oh yeah, we beat them last year, but
yeah,
I know. So what?
You can't come out and lose. If you lose games to the Falcons, you're certainly not where you're supposed to be because they're terrible. But
right, yeah. So
but on any given Sunday in the NFL, the worst team could beat the best team.
But they've been playing better of late, isn't? They beat that team from Wisconsin, and then last week the Jets back to back. So, I mean, we all know the Eagles can beat you They can beat you. They got a good team. They're not a slouchy ass team. This isn't they're going to come in. They're heavy D against the run. It's like the Vikings, like we always say a lot of times with the Vikings, we just can't beat ourselves. And I think this is going to be another game where if we play a clean game, I think it's going to be a defensive struggle, but I think we can pull it out.
Yeah, I do too. I agree.
Some of the talk this week has been about Xavier Rhodes. Is he falling off the cliff? Is he too slow? And how soon will Mike Hughes replace him? What do you guys feel about that sort of talk? Drew?
I don't. Is Xavier? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Drew.
I don't think you can base anything off a few games we've had this season. I can't really give an answer until we get more towards weeks 8 or 9. I mean, the guy hasn't had some very good games, but you know what? I just still a good corner. I mean,
would that look like emphatic? What about you, Ted? Or enthusiastic?
I don't think he's the cornerback he was. I don't think he was the cornerback he was in 2017. Mm-hmm. I think those, he goes off the field for nagging injuries all the time, and I just kind of feel those are maybe starting to take its toll. He's still very good. I don't think he's Rhodes closed good the way he was in like 2016, 2017.
No.
But he's still quarterback 1, and he's still better than 75% of the quarterbacks in the league. Is Mike Hughes going to take his job? I would think if Hughes gets that good, he would take Trey Waynes' spot first. But that's just – and I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon, though.
We got a good supply of corner.
Wayne's has played pretty decent so far this season. It's not spectacular. He's not always on pass coverage. He's not been like Rhodes did 2 years ago, but especially against the run, he's decent. Wayne's has played better than Rhodes has.
You put our stable of corners up against anybody in the league, as far as I'm concerned. We got a good group of cornerbacks.
And they get Hill back in 3 weeks?
Right.
Yeah.
Most teams have one corner that's decent.
Right.
I think we have like 3 or 4 that are above average. So, we're
virtually all of them. And if you include Jaron Curse as a corner, we have an outstanding bunch.
We're the 6th best pass defense in the league, and I know, Dave. A lot of that.
2 of the greatest safeties, or 2 of the best safeties in the league. Probably the best.
You can't just rank a sixth rank ranking on pass defense on the secondary. It has a lot to do with the defensive line also and how much pressure they put on.
Defensive line and the linebackers.
We're giving up 204 yards of passing a game, and that's nothing in today's football. That's a small amount. So the defense right across the board is playing at a level, is playing football enough to where we are a playoff team that can go deep. Defense is fine, I think. When you're holding teams under 17 points every week, I'm not worried about the defense. I'm worried about some penalties. We are dead last in penalty yards per game, 32nd in the league, right above Cleveland. We give up 85.2 yards a game, and that's got to be handled. You got to bring that down.
And that's going to irritate Zimmer.
85 yards a game may not seem like a lot, but it is when you add them all up.
It's huge. It's a huge amount, especially when you look at when the penalties occur. How many times do we see a defensive penalty, extend a drive, and then that drive ends up in a touchdown for the opposing team? It happened in Green Bay. It happened against the Bears.
Mm-hmm.
And it happened. I don't think the Giants got a touchdown, but they got a field goal. But I'd have to go back and check the tape.
Look at the tape.
Well, that's a good tape.
The point is, it's not good to be last at anything, guys. I mean,
no, it's not. It's not. And the thing is, it's very uncharacteristic of a Mike Zimmer team too,
mm-hmm.
which is weird. So.
I think we've had like 46 penalties already, or some. I don't know.
And he gets frustrated with the DPIs, obviously, but it's a lot of the other penalties that he finds unexcusable, jumping off sides.
It adds up to wins and losses. Turnovers. I mean, come on. You clean up your game, you're got a better chance of winning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
So I'm figuring for Sunday, it's going to be an exciting, close, well-fought game. And I do believe that it's going to be the Vikings fans that make the difference.
Really?
Yeah. If they can get in Carson Wentz's head, it makes it a ton easier for that
on
defense.
A scale of 1 to 10, 10 being most confident. Come on. If they shut the run down, how confident are we can get it done through the air? It looks like he doesn't want to answer.
6 or 7. It all depends if Kirk Cousins has a good day. We have the weapons. You can't tell me that Thielen, Diggs, rewatching some of that tape and watching, even throwing the ball to Thielen and Diggs is streaking down what would have been a touchdown, wide open, right? And you've got Irv and the prerequisite throw to Rudolph and Dalvin Cook out of the backfield, as a receiver is awesome. You get him in open space and he rocks. He had 83 yards, I think it was last week on passing alone. 86. He's unbelievable.
Let me get a number from you guys so I could write it down for my Sunday. Put it up on my Sunday board. Philly's rushing yards allowed this season. They gave up 28 to the Redskins, 57 to the Falcons, 86 to the Lions, 77 to the team from Wisconsin, and 67 to the Jets. How many do we get?
So the Lions are the most. At 86,
Lions got 86 on them.
I'm going to say Cook has 75, and the Vikings have like 110 total.
Sounds good. I'll go with that.
75 and 110 total.
Yeah, most of the rest will be Madison, and then Abdullah will get.
I think if we squeeze out 110 on these guys, we're in good shape.
I think so too. And it'll be tough to get to 100, but Dalvin Cook is playing at a level that I think he adds so much to the running game. I mean, and did not take anything away from Madison or Abdullah Oblongata, but you know, that's a Christopher Gates, by the way, the purveyor of Daily Norseman. That's
the Grand Poobah.
That's his original one. But Cook gets yards that other backs don't get, which is why I have a feeling the Vikings will do better than the other teams the Eagles have faced this year.
Yeah, I think that's a lot to do with it. I mean, you could say they're number one in the run defense, but you got to look at the teams they play. They haven't played a running attack like ours, so we'll have to. Yeah, I'll stand with 110. I'll go with that. I'll put some dollar on that amount. I'll bet down on that.
And if Kirk Cousins has another good throwing day, you could add another 300 yards passing on top of that.
You know, Chuck, I've been known to lay a bet or two. I like to bet now and then. You know me.
Yeah, you a wagering fellow, are you?
Every once in a while.
Cousins just has to have a good game. You know, you guys talked about it earlier. The Eagles' pass defense is just not that good. You got to think, and they have some. Deshaun Jackson's hurt, and I think they got a couple of significant injuries on defense as well. This is a game. If Kirk Cousins is going to start to end the narrative about him not beating good teams, it's got to start this weekend at home against Philadelphia, against a passing defense that is not very good.
Absolutely.
With that, and I'm saying he will. Drew, have you got a special segment for Ted?
Hey, Ted, how about a little trivia?
Let's do it.
Your record is 19 points set a couple of weeks ago. Or, do you guys want me to do the trivia now or when we re-record in an hour? That's up to you.
Right
now.
now.
Dave's going, we should shut up about that shit.
No, I'll stop recording and let you go through these and have to make up new questions.
You have a possibility of 22 points on this. So Here we go.
All right.
In October of 1976, the Vikings went into Veterans Stadium, that old stinky-ass stadium in Philly, and one Vikings player set a record that stood for over 30 years in that game that we won. I think it was 31-12 was the final. Who was the player and what record did he set?
76, I was in 6th grade. You're younger than I am.
Fran Tarkington, all-time passing yards record.
No, sir. That is a negatory. The answer is that's the day Chuck Foreman rushed for 200 yards.
Damn.
In one game, and that record stood all the way until Adrian Peterson.
Adrian Peterson broke it against the Chargers. Okay.
Number 2, we played the Eagles 28 times. I always do this question. How many of the Vikings won? And you have to get within 2 to get the correct point. Played them 28 times.
That includes playoffs.
Yeah.
17 wins. 17 wins.
14. It's 14-14 all time.
Is it really?
Sunday will be the tiebreaker.
It was 14-10 regular season with 4 losses in the playoffs.
You look it up?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, they've never beaten them in the playoffs. I didn't know that. I know they never beaten Philly in the playoffs.
You know, if you come across a question you're not sure about, you can use Dave as your lifeline.
Oh, that's true. All right.
Preferably when he hasn't been drinking, because he ain't much of a lifeline when he's drunk.
I'm not drunk yet, but I'm enjoying my beer.
Well, the sun's still up, David. We have.
I know. It's still coming through the window.
Okay, number 3. In 1985 in Philly, the Vikings were down 23-0. They were down 23-0 with 8 minutes left in the game.
All right.
1985.
1985, the greatest comeback in Viking history. It's one of that's what one of the things it's known by.
I was in
Remember that game? You guys don't remember that game?
I don't.
The Vikings scored 4 TDs in the last 8 minutes of the game to win the game 28-23. Who are the 4 people involved in the scoring plays?
In 85? Man, that's like the worst era for me for Vikings football because I never saw him play.
You have to get 4 points. If you can just name off a couple of the players, you can at least get a couple of points.
Darren Nelson.
No. You get 3 mulligans on this one.
Jake Reed.
Sammy White.
No.
Leo Lewis.
That is incorrect. Wade Wilson was the quarterback that day. He hit Anthony Carter on 2 long touchdowns. So Anthony Carter, Wade Wilson, Alan Rice also caught a 7-yard touchdown. The great Willie Teal had a 65-yard fumble return to win the game.
Did he really?
Damn.
Wow. All right.
He can't tackle Dorsett on the 99-yard play, though, but he fucking tried to tackle him by the neck. Sorry, Willie. Okay. Number 4. This is worth 3 points. In 2013, 10 days before Christmas, the Vikings laid a 40 burger on Philly at the Dome. It was 48-30 final. Wow, that's killer. Name the Vikings quarterback who accounted for all 3 TDs. That's the first part of the question.
What year was it?
2013.
Okay.
Name the quarterback who accounted for TDs. That's first part of the question. Huh?
Christian Ponder.
No, Matt Castle. Second part of the question. There's a running back who ran 30 times that day for only 51 yards. That in itself should give you the answer.
Matt Asiata.
He had 3 touchdowns.
Yep.
That's right. Matt Asiata, that's correct. And the last one is, who was the receiver that caught 11 passes that day for 163 yards and a touchdown?
Dave, I'm phoning a friend.
This was 2000 and what? 13?
Yes, 2013. We won 48-30, and this receiver went off.
Burleson?
No.
Burleson was out of the NFL by then.
Greg Jennings.
Ooh,
Greg
I would
Jennings. Yeah, the famous Greg Jennings era.
Okay. Ted's only got a couple points so far. Okay.
Not a good day for me in trivia.
No, it's always a good day, man. You know what? You got the Stanley Cup photo with your grandson. You got
That's true. That's true.
Cardinals are up 82-1 right now. Atlanta put a 7 spot up. It's 13-8. Totally kidding. Didn't do that.
I was going to say, wow.
One.
My phone
I'm gonna name you because we always have to ask about the other team when we do this. You know, we always do. That's part of our little spiel here.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you, and you can use Dave still as a little help on this one.
He hasn't been much help.
Philadelphia NFL stuff here and little names and whatever, and you got to give me the answer to it. You'll figure it out as we go. It's really easy.
Okay.
Head coach who cried his eyes out all the time at the drop of a hat.
Jake Vermeil.
Correct. Tall-ass, lanky wide receiver from the 70s.
Harold Carmichael.
That's correct. Running back, number 31 from the 70s.
Wilbert Montgomery.
Oh, baby! Woo! Rolling now. Ted decided must have cracked a beer because he's rolling now. Polish rifle.
Ron Jaworski.
It's 4 for 4 on this one. Oh, yeah. Keep it going, bro. Okay. This guy in 1960 hit Frank Gifford so hard he couldn't taste for a month, and he never played football again.
Chuck Bednarik.
That is beautiful, man. Beautiful. Excellent. I knew you'd get that one. I knew you would because you're a football guy. Minister of Defense.
Reggie White.
Bam. Threw 216 touchdown passes for the Eagles.
Randall Cunningham?
Oh, that was Donovan.
McNabb.
Oh.
Mr.
Okay.
Throw it in the ground.
20, Hall of Famer.
Oh, Brian Dawkins.
Ow! Excellent job, dude. Now, for the final one, you have to give me 3 head coaches in Eagles history, but they can't be named Andy Walrus Reed or Doug Peterson.
Okay.
3.
Dick Vermeil.
Correct?
Rich Kotite.
Correct?
The dude at UCLA, Chip Kelly.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Absolute fucking waste of time that guy was. I'm trying to get another one.
Sure. Let's do one more.
No, I mean that on the coaches. I don't have any more. Is that all that you can name? 3? Can you name any more?
The dude, he also coached the Packers. One of the first African American head coaches, Ray Rhodes, I think. What did the guy's name?
That is right. Excellent. Excellent job.
Kotite, I said. Trying to think. Oh, Buddy Ryan. How did I not know Buddy? Why did I not name Buddy Ryan right away?
Dude, you got 5 of them.
He only catches touchdowns.
I only have 2 more on my list. The other ones were all so old, they were like, we would have never known them.
World War II. Yeah, Philadelphia is one of the older teams in the league.
Who's the coach? So it was Peterson. Before Peterson, it was Chip Kelly.
Yeah, there's
and then it was Andy Reid was there forever, right?
Right.
Yeah. That's about the extent of my knowledge for
the only other 2 I have written down are Pat Shurmur.
Pat Shurmur was the Eagles head coach? Oh, he was the interim one after they canned was it Kelly?
Right. It's exactly right. He coached 1 game after Kelly. And then the great Fred Bruni.
Fred Bruni.
We all remember Fred Bruni? Fred Bruni. I'm surprised you didn't get that one. Dude, you got 5 of those. So 5, 6, 7, brings you to 11. 11 still pretty good since you started out like shit. I'm going to give you a good shit. You know what? You started out slow, but you came out with a fury, baby.
Finished strong.
AP. You know when AP rushed for 296 against the Chargers? Remember that day? We all remember.
Like 35 or 40 yards at halftime.
Yeah, 40 yards at halftime.
Yeah. He just went off in the second half.
So you went Adrian in this show. You did well. You had a good comeback. Excellent on the Chuck Bednarik, dude. That's really good.
Thank you.
You're a good trivia guy, Ted. You're fun to do the trivia with.
I like doing it.
All right.
19's your record. You didn't beat it today.
Oh, well. Maybe.
Hey.
Always next week.
Speaking of this week, at US Bank.
Yes.
Drew, what do you think's going to happen?
I put the number in the bunting machine, the bunting computer, and it came out to be 21 to 16 Vikings. Those are what the numbers spit out of the computer. It's going to be close. It's going to be low scoring. That's how I see it. I consider 21-16 a low score. That's how I see it. Vikings.
Ted, do you think the Vikings are going to come out with the win?
It's going to be a close game. Yeah, I'm going to say 23-20.
I think the defense will do better than that. Hopefully they'll keep it under the Mendoza line magic number of 17, and that the Vikings do win. I will throw a score against it.
If they win it 23,
I hope Cousins goes off.
If it's 23-20, is that a touchdown to make it 23-20 or a 20-20 field goal by Bailey at the end?
Oh, let's talk about Bailey real quick before we close this puppy up.
Kicking coach, I'm telling you, huge difference.
He is 90% so far this season. 90. What a difference from 75% last year. And there could be multiple things that cause it. One, Cole quit holding. right? Of course, 2, my boy snapping. 3.
So you think the snapper's responsible for it?
Well, the snapper's got to snap a good ball.
Come on, Dave.
There's 3 people on that process. And, of course, the assistant consulting kicking coach. What a
Lord
difference from so
Bailey.
far this year has made for Bailey than last year. And hopefully that continues.
I would like to put a motion on the floor to change the name of the show to Good Morning Vikings Special Teams, because that's all we talk about.
Hey, they're important. Got to give them some love. You know, hey, with Treadwell back,
good week.
That's where he's going to play. So, you know, hopefully they do better and give up no long runs. That's been an Achilles heel so far of the Vikings special teams so far this season. That needs to stop. No long returns. So, we'll see.
It's a Viking game, you know. A lot of times they have a good enough team not to give the games away. They give them away, is what I see. So, come out of the gate. Don't stand around in the first quarter. Jump on the Eagles. Take them out of their game, and
let the crowd get loud and really affect.
Yeah, you know, they gotta improve a little bit on the red zone. When you're in these defensive games, you can't. You know, I'm pretty sure they're not happy about kicking 4 field goals.
No, I don't think so. They shouldn't be.
You got to get touchdowns when you're down there, and that's been our defense. Our defense is doing the same thing to people. We're holding people to field goal attempts, which is fine by me.
But we want to congratulate Dan Bailey on Special Teams Player of the Week for the NFL. That was amazing. We haven't seen that in a long time for our kicker. We appreciate that. Any last words there, Drew?
Meow, Viking. Meow.
Ted?
It's been a great sports day. Super Bowl, homeboy. We'll see you in Miami.
Skol, Vikings!
Hey, we're doing that.
Let's win this game,
Sunday, right?
Oh, you betcha we're doing a Raw Show Sunday. Why wouldn't we?
I don't know. I just wanted to make sure. Start drinking early.